Hi everyone, and welcome to week 4 of sock season, October 22nd through 28th, 2023. I'm Carol, host of a Stitch in Time podcast, and I can be found on Ravelry as Knits and Pearls. This week I'm going to share 6 more pairs from the Handmade Sock Society by Helen Stewart of Curious Handmade, and then I will finish out the week with a special pair to celebrate the full moon. This week's socks are taken from the Handmade Sock Society 4, which was released in 2021 and inspired by life lived close to the landscape. This collection was released after Helen Stewart had moved home to her home country, and several of the designs are inspired by the Australian landscape. When it came to the first pair, the Curling Mist socks, I drew on my own surroundings and was inspired by the British Columbia rainforest. Where I live, we have mountainsides of evergreen trees, which are often shrouded in mist at this time of the year. I chose to knit these with Zen Yarn Garden Serenity 20 in the blue spruce colorway. This sock does not feature a 1x1 twisted rib, but there is a cabled rib pattern throughout, and the ribbing also extends to the heel flap. This yarn has some cashmere in it and feels very nice and soft and squishy. So those are my Curling Mist socks, and I'll give you a glimpse of them on my feet. The second pair from the collection is this really fun design with ruffled legs. I knit the picnic blanket socks from the Yarn Therapist Merino Nylon Fingering in the Forest Fairy colorway. In the skein, this yarn reminded me of a meadow sprinkled with pink flowers, and then I added the white heels and toes to represent the picnic blanket. It wasn't until I was winding the skein that I realized that this was a self-striping yarn and contained 2 long sequences of color changes, of matching color changes. And so I did my best to make the socks match up. This features a 2x2 ribbed cuff, this fun ruffle design on the leg, traditional heel flap and gusset, and then contrasting rounded toe. Now that you've seen them on the sock blockers, I'll give you a chance to see them on my feet. This is one of my favorite pairs from the collection, the Wild Bees socks. I didn't have any yarn that was just right in my stash, and so I picked up a skein from a local to me dyer, Black Cat Custom Yarn. This is the everyday sock in the Flower Bridge colorway, and I think it is the perfect colorway for this design. So we're back to a 1x1 twisted rib, and then there's this beautiful lace pattern that runs all along the front of the sock that resembles bees. There is an eye of partridge heel, and of course my usual rounded toe. So yes, I think these are absolutely lovely, and I will give you a look at them on my feet right now. The fourth design in the collection is the Spinifex socks, and I was never entirely satisfied with this pair, not because of the pattern, but because I wasn't able to use the yarn that I wanted. I learned that Spinifex is a type of seagrass, and I wanted to use the seagrass colorway from Sweet Georgia Yarns. Unfortunately, I learned that the colorway had been discontinued and I wasn't able to get my hands on a skein. And so I had to settle for something in my stash, which is just some very basic superwash merino nylon yarn from elan.com. This is their A series superwash wool with nylon. It's color 23 Willow. So I'll bring that a little closer so you can see. Again, we're back to a 1x1 twisted rib cuff. And there's this textured pattern that runs all the way down the front of the sock, and then it has a traditional heel flap and gusset. It is a lovely green, and it does call to mind seagrass. It's just not quite as special as I would have liked it to be. So there you go. I will give you a look at them on my feet. The beauty of sock number 5 lies in its simplicity. We have what would otherwise be a plain vanilla sock, but it's made special by this lovely picot edge and lace detail at the cuff, and then an eye of partridge heel. This is the Lavender Fields socks, and I chose a yarn for my stash that almost perfectly matched the color of the lavender that I had growing in my garden at the time. This is DGB Confetti Superwash. It's color 9035 Mauve. And here I am modeling them. Collection was inspired by eucalyptus trees which grow throughout Australia. These are the Scribble Gum Socks, and I found this yarn in my stash that reminded me of some photos that I had seen of scribbly gum. So I think the pattern and the yarn go really well together. The yarn is from Songbird Yarn and Fibers. It's their sock base in the Snow Bunting colorway. So again, we have a 1x1 twisted rib cuff. And then we have some scribbly lace that runs down the front of the sock, plain vanilla back, traditional heel flap, and gusset. For some reason, I stalled out on these socks, so it was several months before I went back to finish them, and I am really glad I did because I really like the way that they turned out. So here's my model shot for you. Pair for the week is my Hunter's Moon socks. I won this yarn by taking part in a make-along hosted by Lisa of Fiber Nymph Dye Works. This is one of her inversible colorways called Hunter's Moon. So the inversible sets come with 250-gram skeins of yarn. They feature 2 colors, and as you can see, each skein is the opposite of each other, where this one has a wide stripe of gold and a thin stripe of purple. This has the opposite. So this is my typical plain vanilla sock, top down, 2x2 rib, traditional heel flap and gusset. And the Hunter's Moon this year takes place on Saturday, October 28th. So what better way to acknowledge it than by wearing these socks? So I'll just bring them each in a little bit closer so you can get a look at the lovely tonal stripes. And that brings week 4 of sock season to a close. I will provide links to my project pages on Ravelry for all of the socks that I showed to you today. If you enjoyed this content, please don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you'd like to see more knitting, check out my regular episodes of A Stitch in Time podcast. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again next week. Bye for now.